This video contains a truth that has changed the lives of many people. If you are having health problems and have ever felt stuck, please subscribe to the channel and leave a comment in the comment section so we can share useful knowledge together. Have you ever looked at your plate and thought, this doesn't even taste salty, yet somehow your blood pressure keeps creeping up? Maybe your ankles swell more than they used to, or you feel more tired, even though you're eating healthy. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Most people over 60 have no idea how much salt they're really eating. And no, it's not coming from the salt shaker. Here's the truth. The real danger isn't the pinch of salt you add to your eggs. It's the salt that sneaks in through foods that don't even taste salty. That's what makes them so dangerous. Hidden salt traps are everywhere. In fact, they're probably sitting in your pantry and fridge right now. Foods we've trusted for decades. Now, I'm not here to tell you to give up everything you love. That's not realistic, and honestly, it's not necessary. What I will show you is how to spot these sneaky salt bombs, and how to outsmart them without losing the joy of eating. You see, this isn't about punishment. It's about freedom. When you understand where salt is hiding, you get to take back control over your health, your energy, and your independence. In this video, we're going to walk through some of the most common salt traps in the senior diet and what you can do instead. Simple, practical swaps that will protect your heart, your kidneys, and even your brain. You might be surprised just how easy it is to lower your salt intake once you know where to look. And if you're dealing with high blood pressure, swelling, fatigue, or even just want to stay sharp and active as you age, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Share what you're struggling with. You'd be surprised how many people are going through the same thing. I'll be reading and offering personalized tips wherever I can. So let's jump in, and let's start with one of the biggest salt traps hiding in plain sight. Canned soups. They're warm, comforting, easy to prepare, and loaded with sodium. I've seen patients who eat one bowl of canned soup thinking it's a light meal, only to find out it's packing 800, 900, sometimes over 1,100 milligrams of sodium per serving. And let's be honest, when was the last time you stopped at just one serving? Here's the issue. As we age, our kidneys don't filter sodium as well. High sodium pulls water into the bloodstream, raising your blood pressure and forcing your heart to work harder. That's why many people over 65 are walking around with elevated blood pressure without even realizing it. And yes, sodium can cause brain fog, too. Over time, excess salt is linked to a higher risk of stroke and even dementia. Now I get it. You don't want to give up your favorite chicken noodle or tomato bisque. You don't have to, but you do have to read the label. Look for low sodium or no salt added versions. Even better, try making a quick soup at home with low sodium broth, frozen veggies, and whatever protein you like. You can make enough for the whole week in under 30 minutes. Trust me, once you taste real ingredients again, you'll realize how much the canned stuff was relying on salt for flavor. The next sneaky culprit? Bread. Yup, the everyday sandwich bread you grab without thinking twice. Most people don't associate bread with salt, but some brands have as much sodium as a bag of chips, and that's per slice. If you're having toast in the morning, a sandwich at lunch, and maybe a dinner roll in the evening, you've just eaten a day's worth of sodium without even tasting it. What's tricky is that whole wheat or multigrain doesn't always mean healthy. Some of those loaves are just as salty as the white ones. So here's what you can do. Check the label and aim for bread that has less than 150 milligrams of sodium per slice. There are plenty of options now, especially in the freezer section, where healthier breads are often stored to keep fresh. And if you're open to it, try rye, Ezekiel bread, or even whole grain pita. They often have lower sodium and more fiber, which your body will thank you for, especially if you're managing blood sugar or digestion. Now let's talk about something I hear all the time, but I don't even use the salt shaker. I hear you, and I believe you. The problem is, over 70% of the salt most Americans eat doesn't come from the shaker. It comes from processed foods, things that are packaged, frozen, or pre-made for convenience. And one of the sneakiest examples, deli meats. I know, sliced turkey or ham seems like an easy protein. You throw it on a sandwich, maybe with some lettuce, and call it a healthy lunch. but those thin slices are often soaked in sodium to keep them fresh longer. One little sandwich can deliver more than 1,000 milligrams of salt, especially if you've also added cheese or condiments. If you love your sandwiches, there are ways to enjoy them without the salt overload. First, look for low-sodium versions at the deli counter or in the health section. Better yet, cook your own chicken or turkey breast at home, slice it thin, and keep it in the fridge. You'll have full control over the seasoning, and your body will feel the difference. Less bloating, less fatigue, and yes, better blood pressure control. See, the trick isn't cutting everything out. The trick is upgrading your go-to meals so they still feel familiar, but with way less salt hiding behind the scenes. And believe it or not, when your taste buds get used to less salt, and they will, you'll start to taste your food in a whole new way. Tomatoes will actually taste sweet again. Broccoli will have a natural flavor. Even eggs will seem richer, just because you're not drowning everything in sodium. Now, I want to pause here and say something important. If you're watching this and thinking, I've eaten like this for years, what's the point of changing now? I get it, but let me tell you this from over 30 years in medicine. Your body is always listening. It's never too late to change the story. I've seen people in their 70s and 80s cut back on salt and come off medications they thought they'd be taking for life. I've seen swelling go down, memory improve, and energy come back, sometimes in just a matter of weeks. You deserve to feel good. You deserve to have energy, to move comfortably, to think clearly, and to enjoy your meals. And sometimes, all it takes is knowing what's been working against you all this time and making one small change at a time. So now that we've uncovered the truth behind soup, bread, and deli meat, let's take a closer look at some of the other everyday foods that seem innocent, but might just be the reason your blood pressure won't budge or why you're feeling more sluggish than you used to. And speaking of packaged foods, let's take a closer look at something you probably have in your pantry right now: canned vegetables and soups. Now, before you toss them all out, hear me out. Canned goods can be a real lifesaver. They're convenient, they last forever, and when your energy is low or you're just not up for cooking from scratch, grabbing a can of green beans or chicken noodle soup can feel like a blessing. But here's the part most people miss. Many of those canned vegetables and soups are soaking in brine or broth loaded with sodium. In fact, some single servings can pack more than half of your entire day's recommended salt intake. That means if you're having soup for lunch and then later adding canned peas to your dinner, you might be unknowingly overloading your body with salt, even if you didn't add a single shake of it at the table. Now, I'm not saying you need to abandon canned foods altogether. What I do suggest is this: look for the low sodium or no salt added versions. They're right there on the shelf, usually in the same aisle. And if you already have the salted versions at home, a quick rinse under running water can wash off a surprising amount of that extra sodium. It's a small change, but over time, it can ease the pressure on your heart, kidneys, and even your joints. Now let's talk about another sneaky culprit: bread. Yep, that innocent slice of toast in the morning or the roll with dinner might not seem like much. It's not salty like chips or ham, so it doesn't raise red flags. But here's the catch: most breads, even the ones labeled whole grain or heart healthy, contain added salt to improve texture and shelf life. And if you're having toast for breakfast, a sandwich for lunch, and maybe another roll or muffin with dinner, it adds up fast, especially for seniors who are already dealing with conditions like high blood pressure or fluid retention. So what can you do? First, try to be mindful of how often bread appears in your daily meals. I'm not saying cut it out completely. Bread is comfort food, after all, but maybe swap one serving out with a low-sodium whole grain like oats, quinoa, or brown rice. If you're shopping for bread, flip the package over and check the sodium per slice. You'd be amazed how much it varies. Some slices have less than 100 milligrams, while others climb over to 150. Next on our list, cheese. I know, this one hurts. Cheese is delicious. It brings flavor to a sandwich, makes salads fun, and there's nothing quite like a grilled cheese on a cold day. But unfortunately, most cheeses, especially hard cheeses like cheddar, Parmesan, or American, are heavy in sodium. That salty bite you love, That's not just flavor. That's salt working overtime. And the problem is, cheese isn't just something you sit down and eat in big blocks. It's hidden all over your plate. A little crumble in your omelet, a slice on your sandwich, a sprinkle on your soup. The portions seem small, but they sneak up on you. A single ounce of some cheeses can contain 100 milligrams or more of sodium. And that's just one small piece. But don't worry, you don't have to give up cheese entirely. There are lower sodium options out there. Fresh mozzarella, Swiss, goat cheese, they're all naturally lower in salt than the usual suspects. And there are even reduced sodium versions of popular cheeses now in many grocery stores. Another trick, use a smaller amount but pair it with big flavor. A few shavings of Parmesan go a long way when you combine it with fresh herbs, lemon zest, or a splash of balsamic. You're not losing taste, you're just being smart about it. Let's shift gears to something that might surprise you, breakfast cereals. We often associate cereals with sugar, not salt, right? But many cereals, especially the ones marketed as healthy or adult, actually contain quite a bit of sodium. And I'm not just talking about the ones that taste like cardboard. Even seemingly wholesome choices like bran flakes, corn-based cereals, or those high-fiber blends often rely on salt to boost flavor and preserve crunch. Why does this matter? Well, for one, a lot of seniors rely on cereal as a quick and easy breakfast option. It's light, requires no cooking, and pairs well with fruit or milk. But when that morning bowl is giving you 200 or even 300 milligrams of sodium, and you're starting your day that way, it's like loading your bloodstream with pressure right from the get-go. So here's what you can do. Start by checking labels. You're looking for cereals with less than 140 milligrams of sodium per serving. There are plenty out there. Some even have under 50. Or try mixing half of your usual cereal with an unsweetened, no salt added puffed rice or oat cereal to dilute the sodium content without sacrificing volume. And while we're talking breakfast, let's not forget the innocent-looking instant oatmeal packets. Those flavored varieties, like maple and brown sugar or peaches and cream, often come packed with added salt along with the sugar. But the solution is easy. Go for plain oats and flavor them yourself with cinnamon, banana slices, or a touch of honey. It's tastier, healthier, and you control the salt. It's incredible, isn't it? How so many of these everyday foods, things we've trusted for years, can slowly add up in ways we don't even notice. And as we age, our bodies don't handle salt the same way they used to. Our kidneys may not filter it out as quickly. Our blood pressure might rise faster. And the consequences can sneak in through the back door: swelling ankles, frequent urination, a racing heart, or just a general feeling of fatigue. But knowledge is power. And with just a few small shifts, rinsing your canned goods, picking lower sodium bread, being choosy about cheese and breakfast foods, you can start lifting that invisible burden off your body. You'll feel lighter, more in control. And the best part? You won't have to give up the foods you love. You'll just be enjoying them in a smarter, safer way. Let's keep this momentum going. Now, before we finish, let's shine a light on a few last places where sodium hides, places you might never expect it to. Let's talk condiments. That tiny squirt of ketchup on your eggs or dollop of mustard on your sandwich might seem harmless, right? But these flavor boosters are often sodium bombs in disguise. Just 1 tablespoon of ketchup can contain up to 150 milligrams of sodium. Soy sauce, that can reach over 900 milligrams in a single tablespoon. That's nearly half of the entire day's limit in just one splash. Even salad dressings, barbecue sauce, pickles, and jarred pasta sauces often come loaded with salt. And here's the trick: because they're spread across different parts of your meal, it doesn't always register. A little here, a little there. But by the end of the day, you're carrying a heavy salt load. So what's the workaround? Well, it's easier than you might think. Look for reduced sodium versions of your favorite condiments. They're more available than ever. Better yet, try making a few at home. You can whip up a quick dressing with olive oil, vinegar, lemon, and herbs. Delicious, heart-friendly, and salt-free. Even a simple swap like switching to low-sodium soy sauce or seasoning with garlic, paprika, or citrus instead of reaching for bottled sauces can make a world of difference. And while we're in the kitchen, let's not forget about frozen meals, especially the diet or healthy lifestyle ones. These are popular for a reason. They're convenient, portion-controlled, and seem like smart choices. But the truth is, many frozen meals, even the ones with the words lean, light, or heart smart on the label, are packed with sodium to preserve flavor and shelf life. Some single-serve frozen dinners contain over 1,000 to 100 milligrams of sodium. That's more than half of your daily recommended amount, and it doesn't even taste particularly salty. So how do you avoid this trap? If frozen meals are part of your routine, aim for options with less than 500 milligrams of sodium per serving, and check the serving size. A package might say 2 servings, but you and I both know most people eat the whole tray. Also, try pairing a lower sodium frozen meal with a fresh side, like steamed veggies or a piece of fruit, to round things out without piling on more salt. So let's recap and talk about simple swaps you can make today. Can Foods gives choose low sodium or no salt added, rinse if needed. Bread gives read labels and limit to 1 serving per meal if possible. Cheese gives try lower sodium varieties like mozzarella, Swiss, or goat cheese. Breakfast cereals gives choose ones under 140 milligrams sodium per serving. Instant oatmeal gives go plain, then flavor it yourself. Condiments gives use less or swap for herbs, lemon, or homemade dressings. Frozen meals gives stick to meals under 500 milligrams sodium and balance with fresh sides. Look, here's the bottom line. You don't need to overhaul your entire diet overnight. You don't need to give up all the foods you love. What you do need, especially as we get older, is awareness. Salt is sneaky. It hides in foods that don't taste salty. It slips into snacks and sauces, into bread and soup. And over time, if we're not paying attention, it wears down the body. But with just a little bit of label reading, a few creative swaps, and some good old-fashioned home cooking, you can take control, 1 meal at a time. And when you do, you'll feel the difference. Less swelling, more energy, better blood pressure, clearer thinking, and most importantly, peace of mind. You deserve that. You've earned it. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone you care about. Your heart will thank you.